2 straight wins in a row for Sébastien Tixier has set him up with an absolutely fantastic start to his 2023 Season 4 run. He knows, though, that there are an incredible list of drivers who are there behind, who are very happy to take the challenge to him from those names that have been there before and have challenged him for titles before, and brand new names that are finding themselves in the fold. We head, though, to a circuit which every sim racer should know like the back of their hand. This is Lime Rock Park, and it's here for round 4 of the Grand Prix Legend Series. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching around the world. My name is Jake Sperry. Alongside me in the commentary booth for this one is Joey Atterbury. Robert O'Brien is on the cameras for us. He's directing them, and they are provided by Dougie Beard. But let's get a real understanding of what makes this circuit in Lakeville, Connecticut so revered as the starting place for all sim racers. We'll do so with the help of our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Lime Rock Park. Located in the northwest corner of Connecticut, this unassuming little track has garnered a surprisingly passionate following. Its unique aspects create a circuit not only full of character, but consistently challenging even to modern race cars. While it has 4 different possible layouts, on the classic version, only 7 corners are split along a 1.5 mile track with just a single one of them turning left. Though simple in appearance, most drivers will tell you that trying to be fast here is anything but. The run down the front stretch into Big Bend offers pretty much the only viable passing spot, but it's a double apex right-hander which lures drivers into taking it too fast. The uphill is also scary quick considering its lack of runoff and can sometimes cause cars to get airborne over its crest. Then, on the opposite end, the downhill sends cars diving into a quick sweeper which requires a good exit speed in order to defend or attack back into the first corner. Modern racing mostly uses the more recently built chicanes, especially at the uphill. But one of the most unusual facts about this track is that the races are never held on Sunday. Due to a legal agreement with a nearby church, events must take place on Fridays and Saturdays. The confines around this place are tight, the passing opportunities are few, and mistakes are usually punished with race-ending damage. With most other road courses now being built with upwards of 3 and 4 miles in length, this track stands out. But in an age of multi-million-dollar facilities and flashy buildings, this quaint small circuit manages to keep fans coming back with its intimate and grassroots setting.
Lime Rock Park is the sort of place which cuts its teeth with everyone. It's the classic layout that we've got, which means there's only one left-hand bend out here on this entire circuit. The rest is clockwise phased right, Joey, which means that it is all about track position today.
Lime Rock Park, one of the classics up in Connecticut, just outside Lakeville. 7 turns, 1.5 miles in length, and you named it. Really only one left-hand turn on this entire circuit. If you are a sim racer, you know this place, like Jake was saying, like the back of your hand, one of the first tracks that you drive here on iRacing. And it is a struggle for passing everywhere you go, but a couple of the danger areas, it's always easy to poke your nose down into the right-hander. It's kind of tempting to kind of show the nose down in there, but trust me, it funnels out very quickly. And then the uphill, all the way at the top of the circuit over there, after you crest the hill, trust me, these cars will be getting airborne. So if you keep your foot on the floor, you'll be dealing with wheel spin in a very loose condition when the car lands. And then the final turn, downhill, you got to be careful to keep the nose down, tucked into the apex. Otherwise, trust me, your car will slide very wide on exit. Got to be careful of the wall out there.
Every single corner has its own unique challenge, and that's what's going to be the cause of contention for a number of drivers here today. It's a large one split of 35. Sébastien Tixier, though, 18 points to the good with 2 race wins over the last 2 races, with Jorge Nieva and Oye Zamayoa in second and third positions. They are going to be the ones who are trying to make the biggest challenge, the two Spaniards. You've then got John Olsen in fourth and Marco Antonio Lopez in fifth position, but do not count out Togo Hasada down in seventh position. Effectively has used one of his drop rounds already, but always has the pace to go and challenge for a championship. Hervé Trengarate is down in eighth position. The legend when it comes to classics racing was Jonathan Jourdain in ninth position, and Gary Ho rounding out the top 10, 72 points down on the overall in the F1 standings. Joey, F2, a little bit different.
Bjorn Ackerman leads the way, I wouldn't say comfortably, but 18 points over Jan Steffen there in the second place position. Then it really gets tightened up. Only 3 points separating these next three drivers of Timothy Porter, Michael Grissinger, and Terry Traumhauser. Then once again, only another 3 points separating the next 5 drivers: Sandeep Banerjee, Mats Linden, Andres Bruno, Kirk Clapper, Tobias Harnvey. But we got to remember, folks, this is only round 4 of a 12-round championship. So these numbers, these names are definitely going to shake up. But with all of these F2 drivers in one split here, points are up for grabs.
There's a lot of points, and points do indeed mean prizes. When it comes to the Cup of Nations, Sebastian Tixier finds himself 1 point down for Team Singapore here against the Spain team, which is currently at the top. The United States find themselves third in their united battle with the United Kingdom in fourth position. Germany find themselves fifth with Japan in sixth. Australia in seventh, just 6 points back on that with the even spread. Norway find themselves just 8 points back of Australia. They're in eighth place, with Sweden and Andorra proving their might down in 10th position overall. It's really nice to see such a small country doing so well, but a long amount of laps here today, Joey, 41 of them.
Round 4 of 12 and 41 laps. You hit the nail on the head there. This is a very short circuit. They're doing about 49-second lap times around here. And as always, it's open setups, so you're going to tweak and tune that car as best as your driving style sees fit. And no spare car, so if you deal with any damage on the racetrack, well, you're going to have to live with it with the car that's not driving straight, or you come down to pit road, have the crew hop over the wall, get that thing fixed up. And as always here on the Grand Prix Legend Series, drive through at 17x, disqualification at 25x. I think we're going to see plenty of incident points here today, Jake. Lap traffic, first lap, it's going to be pretty chaotic.
It's going to be really chaotic, and we are going to start to sense that drivers in and around with the qualifying efforts that they're trying to put together are going to need a lot of space out there to really work, especially when you consider that these machines are open wheel and that the wheels stick out so far. As we watch Michael Grissinger here from Club Michigan up over the crest there uphill, you can see how loose you get. You see how jutted out those wheels are. These 60s inspired cars driven by the legends here, this Lotus 49 of Jim Clark, and also you got Mr. Graham Hill as well. You look at these cars and you go, the moment you touch that wheel, it's gone.
This is back in the era before composite materials, before aerodynamics, and really the whole idea is still the same. However, back then, less is more, and what that means, just taking everything off of the car. Also, look at how tiny those little suspension arms are. Everything in this car is meant to keep the weight down. So yes, it is fragile, and those big old tires that are sticking out there, if you pretty much bang wheels with anybody, you're going to cause damage to the car.
On board with Alejandro Sanchez, not to be confused, Joey, of course, with Alejandro Sanchez, who drives fantastically for the Apex Racing team.
Well, you know, you're great with the names and the numbers and everything, Jake. You always blow my mind knowing every single one of these sim racers.
Well, there are so many, of course, who are proving their worth and doing an incredible job out there. It's just a case that everyone is looking to try and give themselves some room. 51.6 there for Alejandro Sanchez, unable to improve on that time, so remains down in the 24th position overall. It looks like almost everybody is done in qualifying. Maybe Michael Grissinger is the only driver out there who could make something happen, but the top 10 stands as follows. It is Oye Zamayoa who is going to be on the pole position with a 49.920, and will have Sebastian Tixier alongside for company on that front row. Hervé Trengerade and Laust Olsen will house row 2 as Jorge Nieva starts 5th alongside Marco Antonio Lopez in 6th position. Togo Hasada, a little bit down the order, goes in 7th, with the second of the Olsens with a different spelling. John Olsen in 8th position. Leo Sequeiro will go from 9th, with Stay Morris rounding out the top 10.
In 11th, we have Matthew Maudsley with Gary Quellen joining him on row number 6. Daniel Perez Hoya in 13th. Darren Burgess in 14th. And we have Gary Ho and Bjorn Ackerman there in row number 8. Eloy Verga and Costa in 17th, Matthew Keane in 18th, Yanni Lehman in 19th, and Matthew Nelson rounding out the top 20.
It's a 34-car field here today, so Derek Matthews will start in 21st, and 2 little ducks, as one Supzan would say, for Emerson Godin in 22nd position. Terry Tromashauser will go from 23rd alongside Alejandro Sanchez, who we saw in qualifying. Tommy Donahue and Jonathan Jourdain will have row 13 of the grid. Rolly Wallbank starts 27th alongside Michael Grissinger. The last driver to set a representative time was Arnold Koch, who is there in 29th position, with Jason Clapper, the first of the drivers without a time, in 30th. They are all lining up by their iRacing from here, which leaves Kurt Clapper, Jan Stefan, Timothy Porter, and Robert Reynolds making up the 34 drivers here today, looking to try and book a finish over 41 laps. One thing to note, track temperature is ideal to hot at this point, 35 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Joey, it is pretty much going to be a, okay, look around at everybody else sort of day. We are in sim time 1:30. It's as hot as it's going to get.
It's a beautiful day over there in the Northeast. Honestly, humidity just shy of 70%. And you're right, 95 degrees might be a little bit warm in terms of the overall track temperature, but plenty beautiful to go racing here virtually at Lime Rock.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic in terms of the weather here in Lakeville, Connecticut. And this is going to be all about focus from a number of these drivers as they go through. Just waiting for 2 to line up on the left-hand side. Those, of course, being Laust Olsen and Sebastian Tixier. Once they are up on the grid and they have a provision of 2 minutes to get themselves set up and are situated for that, we will be ready with the lights procedure to go out and get racing sorted. Of course, with this being a 12-week season, there are 12 races, but there are 2 drop rounds over the course of this season that all of these drivers are entitled to. Who is going to prove that they can stand up to Sebastian Tixier and make the challenge over towards the championship? 41 laps here at Lime Rock Park. They will start right now, and let's get ourselves underway. It's a good start by Zamioa, and has already contacted someone stalled there in the back, and straight across the circuit. It's carnage here in the middle of the field.
Yeah, just absolutely not a very good start. I think I saw the number 15, but I believe it's Emerson Gaudin that's still currently leading this race. Oyer Zamayoa giving chase. Ove Trengrade there in 3rd place, and Laust Olsen is up into 4th.
I believe Godin actually has pulled the car in the pits, which would be why that's flicked up on your timing screen there. But at the moment, it is Zamioa who is on top. Tixier in 2nd. Trengerade in 3rd as they crest their eyes for the first time, head themselves to the West Bend. The classic layout means that you don't have any tricky chicanes to deal with or any extensions, which does technically take away overtaking opportunities. It's going to be turn 1. This run down the hill through the diving turn over the Sam Posey Straight and in towards the Big Bend is the place to pass today.
Yeah, definitely into turn 1 is your biggest and best passing opportunity on this racetrack, but the laps are going to click off very, very fast out here. So even though you only have turn 1 as your passing zone, it comes up quite often.
13 drivers were able to escape unharmed and unimpeded as we look with Laust Olsen here, driving with a very firm focus, almost calm, I would say, so calm that his camera potentially just there has frozen.
I know that Laust always signs onto the cams, and I do think that his cam kind of goes in and out with the webcam, so he always is providing us the Laust cam, the pucker factor, but right now he's just providing the stern straight face.
Yeah, there's Arnold Koch. You're going to see him on the right-hand side. He's trying to limp his machine down into the pits as Zamayoa sets the fastest lap of the race, 50.466. There is Bjorn Ackermann in 12th position. The number 30 car is the F2 championship leader, and he looks like he's got a little bit more movement and liveliness to him as he drives through the left-hand bend of turn number 3. He's looking around at everybody else that he's rivals with, and is probably looking and thinking, well, everybody else was involved in an accident back there. I don't have to worry. I've just got to keep the car going.
Up 4 positions and kind of hunting down the top 10 currently, Bjorn Ackermann in the number 30. And, you know, props to Laust and Bjorn for signing on these cams. We always have the driver cam links available so that way we can get your beautiful faces on the show. And the other thing to note here about Bjorn, happy to have him here in the top split. I know it is only one split today, but he's always logged on ready to show, even if he's not in that top split.
Yes, he's very much someone who races every single week and wants to prove that he is improving with every single race and every lap that he logs in this Lotus 49. Second, third, and fourth then. Currently, Tixier dealing with Trengaray, dealing with Laust Olsen, the number 7 machine in 4th position. We take a look on board with Ove Trengaray here with this beautiful camera angle up the hill. Car will feel light over this section, proven there by Tixier, who had to really gather it up.
And I was watching Tixier in practice. I noticed one of the first practice laps, he sent it over the uphill, pretty much straight into the wall. So even it catches out the best here at Lime Rock Park. Watch that uphill section. Only working lap number 5 right now, but trust me, plenty of times to go over the jump and forget about lifting off the throttle.
Well, the one defense he's got is Zamayoa, who leads this field, and Zamayoa, who has a very Basque-sounding name at this moment in time, up in the north part of Spain, is going to be looking to try and break away and break outside of 1 to 1.5 seconds at this moment. Now, that's a crucial number because that's effectively where that slipstream does not become as powerful, not really as useful around this circuit. It's again Tixier is struggling over the top of that hill. He's really having to gather it up, and look at what it costs him. It costs him 0.2 of a second every time he has to squirrel across the circuit.
And there's 2 things that could be happening to Tixier back there. Either he's reaching the top of the jump when the car is still loaded, when it's still turning, and so therefore it is unsettled in the air and when it lands. The other thing that could possibly be happening is he's just not lifting off the gas coming up over the jump, and what that causes is wheel spin. When you're in the air, the RPMs rise, and when you land, those wheels, they do funky stuff. It creates wheel spin even on the tarmac when you create that compression, and lots of times these differentials, they don't spin at the same rate, and off you go to one side.
Yep, so very easy to do as Zamayoa now hits the 1 second margin for the first time and is really hoping that he's got enough buffer to go out there and get away. This is also going to be the sort of circuit you look at, Joey, with these drivers. It's going to feel very repetitive with the short lap they go through, and there's not really much downtime between corners, so you really are having to focus. Here comes a look then to the inside, a move then looking to be scored on the lap traffic there that's going to try and stay out of the way. Robert Reynolds is going to find that he's going to need to disappear, very similar to Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds.
Well, not even lap number 10. We're already kind of running into some lap traffic. That shows you it will be a factor in this race all day today. And yeah, I agree with you. It's known as the bull ring for a reason, Jake. It's going to be very repetitive. And trust me, it will test the driver's patience. If you like oval racing, the best equivalent, the best parallel is maybe Martinsville.
Yeah, and there's a look at the Ford DFV Cosworth engine in the back of Robert Reynolds' machine as he looks to try and stay out of the way. And you talk about every single component of this car is absolutely legendary. You've got a legendary engine, a legendary chassis, and you've got as well a legendary designer.
Well, and not only that, but the legendary steering wheel as well. I mean, how iconic is that red-rimmed Lotus steering wheel? You can even get sim wheels that are replicated like that.
You really can, and there's so much product out there in terms of the sim racing world. We focus on Jorge Nieva in 5th position. He's got his eyes on Laust Olsen, who's dropped away from Tixier and Trengaray now. That gap down to half a second, and wide up the top of the hill goes Laust Olsen, who cannot match the pace that's being done at the moment at the front of this field. It's telling right now that he is stuck in 50.5s. The group behind of Nieva and Hesada, who are both incredible drivers. Hesada was fighting for the championship last season, they both want to get in this. They both want to gain places.
I think that Laust Olsen is having a fantastic race. Laust is one of the regular competitors in the Vintage Series. He's always up inside the top 10, but here he is in 4th place. So I really do feel like Laust is almost punching above his weight class right now. But you're right, Jake. I think he might be holding up just a touch with Jorge Nieva as well as Togo Hisada. And I think Togo's the biggest story of this race, being way back here in 6th place. We're used to see him battling in the top 3.
We are used to seeing him up there in the top 3, but you have to consider for Togo Hisada, he hasn't had a race win this season. He has had in the back of his pocket a 2nd place finish and a 4th at Brands Hatch. He did well at Barber, but started with just 7 championship points to start his season off. So he's on the back foot from pretty much the start of this season, really having to work as Zamayoa set fastest lap of the race, 50.012 now, and is really looking to try and push forward and build that gap back up again. You got Hisada though, still pretty much being patient, and when a car in front of you's got the draft, the car in front of that has the draft, you're pretty much in a stasis pattern, and you are looking for just the minutest mistakes, and they really do have to crop up and show in these huge machines.
It's really interesting to watch this trio right here, because I do feel that Jorge and Togo are a little bit faster than Laust in terms of the overall pace, but Laust Olsen is driving perfectly. And what I mean by that is he is nailing every single corner exit. And when you nail the corner exit, it just distances you. It pushes that stiff arm between you and that car behind you. It's just simply not allowing Nieva a passing opportunity when he gets down there into 1.
And Tixier sets the fastest lap of the race. I think he's settled down into a rhythm here on lap 11 compared to Zamayoa, and he has put himself then into the prime position to go out there and race. We've had a number of retirements so far in this race. Arnold Koch, you've had Rolly Wallbank, Tommy Donahue, Temi Thomas-Sauser is out of the race. So too Derek Matthews, Darren Burgess, Daniel Perez Hoya out of the race, along with Matthew Morsley and Emerson Godin. 3 laps down in this race. He's still circulating, though, at this point. Tixier is just waiting for the right time, and there you're seeing here, Zamayoa is so aggressive through the diving turn. You can see how the car kicks up on the right-hand side when he hits the curve.
You have to use every single bit of racetrack, and even there into turn number 1, Oya is just using all of it, plus maybe a little bit of that extra grippy grass here in iRacing, but seems to be working out. He's currently holding Seb Tixier back at 50.2, and really, even though the Laust Olsen has all that pressure in the mirrors, I think he's doing a good job kind of hanging on to this top 3.
Yeah, he is hanging on, and he is doing a really, really good job here in 3rd position. It's Trent Grade. He's not out of this race. He's pretty much in the waiting spot. If something happens between those top 2, he has got the perfect chance to go out there and strike when the iron does, in fact, get hot in terms of how he gets this race sorted. But you now start wondering here, they will head to lap 13, which is lucky for some, heading towards then this section. There is 2 also eyes with Togo Hisada here, this top 6, which is pretty much keeping itself equidistant, 3 seconds splitting that top 6, no room at the end to make any moves at the moment, so the patience is going to have to be very much alert, which means that everywhere you look in this field, you're pretty much eyes looking around and thinking, what can you get out of it?
And Laust is all over, well, I should say Jorge Nieva is all over the back of Laust Olsen as we deal with more lap traffic up and over the hill. You see, you mentioned it, there's just not a whole lot of places to pass here at Lime Rock Park. It becomes repetitive. It's known as the bull ring. I mentioned it earlier, just those tempers start to flare, and when do they boil over?
Well, for Jorge Nieva, this is El Plaza del Toro. At this moment, he is looking to try and make sure that he finds a look. He gets in the mirrors on the inside, but there's not a guarantee he can make that pass, and you have to be pretty much nose to tail. You've got to be on the back of that gearbox, pretty much, I would say, putting the front nose of the car on the axles. There's smoke there on the inside because there's been a spinner, and that is Terry Trommershauser, the lap traffic, trying to get back in this race.
Oh boy, it is getting busy all over here in this Lotus 49 race. I can't wait to see when Nieva is going to make the move, because I really feel like once he cracks that door open, Togo Hisada is going to insert his foot right in it and try to get by as well. So Laust Olsen, as long as he can limit any mistakes, just keep nailing those corner exits, it's going to be frustrating for these other two.
Well, Nieva getting an absolutely fantastic run, and this is the chance. He dives over to the inside. Laus comfortably holds the outside line, but he's got to go through the second phase of turning, and a second bite of the cherry doesn't work for Nieva. Hisada couldn't quite position himself properly to give himself the attack then through turn 3. So they stay as they are for the moment, and they've decided podium's gone. They're racing amongst themselves now. This is for fourth, best of the rest.
Yeah, they're 3 seconds up the road now, so you're right. If Nieva and Hisada don't get around Olsen soon, I mean, there's no way that they're going to catch our leaders. Now, with the lap traffic, that can certainly come back and forth. It can kind of accordion in and out, so I wouldn't say the race is over for the podium yet, but it's got to happen soon to get around this yellow number 2, or 7.
Well, absolutely. There is Matthew Keane, who has got his eyes in 14th position. Just in front of him now, who's gone through, is the likes of Jason Clapper, who started 30th, is now 13th. And as they get past the lap traffic and Ronald Reynolds, he's got his eyes on Bjorn Ackermann. That's for 12th place.
Oh, and did you see Bjorn have it way out into the grass coming through the final turn there? So, yeah, this battle still rages on between Lehman and Keane back here for this 14th place position as they round out of turn number 2. And then these are the 2 cars, Jason Clapper and Bjorn Ackermann up here. And remember, Bjorn is the leader of that F2 points championship. Having a good points day, but he spins it. He's loose coming out of 4, and now he's got to be careful about drifting back into the track.
And speaking of drifting back into the track, that could have been the end of everybody there as he went through. That for Bjorn Ackermann would have been scary, absolutely scary as he brought that round. Somehow did not collect anybody else in that. It was very quick to get back going again. There is Gary Ho as well in 11th. He's got Gary Quellin. Who's best Gary?
Yeah, that's right. You know, Gary versus Gary out here, and this is heading into turn number 3. The only left-hander on the circuit, Gary Ho giving chase to Gary Quellin for that top 10 of the Garys.
Yeah, nice, Gary. Trying to find a way to run away, and I believe that Gary will win that battle, hands down. There's no question about it. But at least for the squirrely there from Gary Ho on the back of Gary Quellin there. The rear tyres really kicking up over that rise. You're not often prepared when you go to circuits. They don't design them in modern circuits to have a jump. It's an old school feel when you're out there and you go through. The only other place I can really say that has a jump of that magnitude and quality is you can see how the car pitches down on the brakes in through the opening corner there, Joey. The only other place is up the hill when you go over to Flugplatz at the Nürburgring.
Yeah, I was going to say Nürburgring. I'm trying to think of any other places that really have a violent jump like that, but you're right. I can't think of any, at least in current modern motorsports. I believe there's a motorcycle track somewhere that's got some pretty gnarly jumps. Okay, there you go. And then, of course, can't forget about the old Isle of Man.
Yeah, the Isle of Man, of course, one of the most incredible circuits out there overall as this focus continues on here for the final spot inside the top 10. Give a bit of love to 9th and 8th positions as well because Stay Morris and Marco Antonio Lopez just in front of this group have been doing well. They are in 8th and 9th and have pretty much found themselves an island to themselves in their races, but we are starting to sense that lap traffic is an issue. And that's an issue for Oye Zamayoa, who is at the front of this field, because Tixier and Trengarade, they're not getting away, and that's what they got to encroach on in front. Kurt Clapper and Jan Stefan, who have every right to battle for their place.
Well, and look, we're not even halfway through this race. We're coming to click over to lap number 20. Lap traffic, I mentioned it before, it's going to be a talking point. You're going to have to deal with them and potentially multiple times today. So the nicer you are to them now, the nicer they're going to be in return when you meet them again later down the road.
Well, how nice is it going to be, and who is twice as nice as they now make that charge through the left-hander? Suddenly, Kurt Clapper realises, hang on a minute, where am I compared to everyone else? Tixier, you can see in the blues right behind number 1, Oye Zamayoa, who is trying to find a way through, but he's got no angle to do it. And up the hill, this is where Tixier can be clever if you can box him in. Zamayoa, though, gets the pick. here to the inside at the West Bend, and they're both going to make their way through. But if Tixier can get a run here down the hill, he'll have a chance, but he was slightly impeded off the exit of the corner.
And crucially, Trengray was able to sneak through the inside of turn number 6 as well. He doesn't get the run coming out of the final corner like the front two do. However, he still stays attached with his fishing pole. And Tixier, did he get into the back of our leader? It was close.
I tell you what, it couldn't have been too far away, and then as Trengray sent that one down to the inside as well, he had to get back out of it and fully uplocked both of the front brakes, trying to get that slowed up, and that's why his car pointed straight on and he's able to keep himself going. So scary stuff at the front. Everybody's living dangerously.
It's just, like I said, it's the melting pot, and when does it boil over? When do you add too many spices into the mix and it gets too hot for the pepper, if you will?
If it's too hot for you to eat, you better stay out the kitchen, and that's what we're going to see here at the front of this field with the work that is going to have to be consistently done over the course of this race. Round the traffic once again, they're going to have to try and pivot around, and that is Tommy Donahue this time. They've managed to put a lap on, who's just come out of the pits then, so able to keep a little bit of something going. But Zamayoa, you would feel, if he can just control when he gets that lap traffic, has the ability to try and break that gap open. If he doesn't, that gap's just going to shrink.
Oh, and actually, Laust Olsen just had a huge checkup. I apologize. I was watching the second battle. Togo Hisada is going to go to the inside of Nieva. Nieva's hanging tough around the outside of the uphill. He's actually going to defend that position. I'm sorry to jump to this other battle, but I've just been noticing Nieva is starting to get a little bit more desperate to get around Laust.
Well, Laust Olsen grabbed the grass coming out of the right-hander, turn 4 out on track, and still as stoic as ever. It's rock solid. I've never seen someone with such an iron will and determination the way he sat as he goes through. Yep, a little bit of reaction there through turn 1 and 2 because he's got the lap traffic in front of him. That, of course, being Tommy Donahue, he's got to get around.
I love that it just kind of clips to new frames every once in a while. But yes, dealing with heavy lapped traffic now. And because Laust has kind of been battling with Nieva, Hisada's been trying to get around. Look at this. We got a new caboose on this battle. The number 3, John Olsen, has caught him.
Yeah, John Olsen's just been quietly whittling away, keeping on this one. And now it's 4 cars for 4 at this point. And there's going to be 3 very unhappy names. Now the traffic in front is definitely not playing ball at the moment, and Nieva is sensing that to try and take advantage here. Which way are you going to have to go? You're going to have to thread yourself down to the inside as Zamayoa sets the fastest lap of the race with a 49.9. But as they're trying to thread through the traffic, there's nowhere to go, and the worst driver for all of this is John Olsen. He's now trying to have to thread the middle as they go through, and he's collecting Kurt Clapper.
Oh, just so unfortunate to have those two tangling wheels in turns number 1 and 2. You called it perfectly. The 2 lap cars, they kind of split the racetrack. These other cars had to go up through the middle. John Olsen was trying to be respectful, and I actually think that maybe he drifted out a little bit. Combine that with Kurt just thinking the lap traffic had gone through. Just unfortunate.
There's nothing wrong that Kurt Clapper did there. Stayed to the outside, was hugging the outside line. That's just pure understeer there for John Olsen, who could not get the car pivoted in because he pretty much had to try and find the middle of the road. And that's so difficult when you've been so used to lap on lap attacking the inside.
Well, and not only that, but there was the car on the inside, so he couldn't attack the inside like that. So I definitely feel for both of them. It was not how they wanted their race to end by any means, but we jump back to this lead battle. Riding on board with Ove Trengray, he's still hunting down Tixier, but check this out. Looks like Zamayoa is trying to scoot away.
He is 1.3 seconds now to the good, and I think it's not a case that Zamayoa is doing something incredible. He's running 50.3s that last time by. I think Tixier started to feel the stress as both drivers put a tyre in the grass. They dip coming out of the West Bend, and now down the hill through the diving turn. Again, the grass is grabbed by Tixier. Trengray is putting Tixier in all sorts of different contortions right now, and at some point you're going to say, I want out. This is so difficult, but you've got another 15 laps of this, Seb, if you want second place.
Repetitive. You called that word out earlier, and that's what Lime Rock is. Just got to get into the rhythm, get into the groove, and then when you get out of the groove, you just got to take a deep breath and settle yourself back down and keep doing laps.
Oh, Gary's nearly taken Gary out of this race. So the two Garys very nearly coming together at turn 1 and 2. Gary Quellin running wide then at the big bend has opened up the door, and Gary Ho is now up the position. I told you Gary would do it.
Yeah, and here comes Gary. He's still applying the pressure to Gary in the mirrors around the uphill now. And for all of you that are confused, Gary is leading Gary, but it's Gary Ho in 9th place, Gary Quellin in the red and white 10th place, giving chase currently.
Yeah, and 22 seconds off of the race lead in terms of their scrap that they're having on circuit to prove who is the better Gary in terms of Lakeville, Connecticut, and the best Gary prize, effectively, that they will get out of it, as there's a little search to the inside from Gary Quellin, just trying to get in the mirrors. And that is one of the things you'll see from a lot of sim racers, as it's all about finding that angle. Speaking of which, traffic over the top of the brow for Sebastian Tixier, Michael Grissinger, and Jonathan Jourdain has brought the gap back down again. Zamayoa cannot get a break.
No, but, you know, crucially, it's actually Trengrade that's got the run on Tixier. They're not going to be able to clear Jonathan Jourdain up into turn number 1 as we're still watching these battles through the uphill of Gary and Gary. You know, I'm still giggling to myself over here, Jake. It's just a good play on words over here, this battle.
It is. It's very much a case of they're going for it. There is 4th, 5th, and 6th as Olsen, Nieva, and Hisada continue on their race, trying to open up that 4th place. But Laus Olsen is proving that you are not going to be able to pass him easily here today. He is being an absolute nightmare for Jorge Nieva, who has stared at the back of that gearbox for far too long, seeing the blue and the yellow just in front, pretty much holding that station.
See what kind of run they can get coming out of the downhill. Laust has been so good at just nailing that exit, and once again gets a really, really good exit. Nieva is in the tire tracks. He's in the draft. He potentially can make a move, but just the straightaway isn't long enough here at Lime Rock Park to really get up alongside.
No, you need an extra 150 meters or so to really make that pass. It's very much one of these circuits that hasn't had many alterations, if any, over the course of its lifespan, Joey. The only thing it's done over its span were the most recent changes. The chicane down on the inside and then that slight extension heading over towards the West Bend. This is as classic as a layout as you can find.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it any additions to the track or modifications. I would just call it, you're right, adding some chicanes. And those chicanes have essentially slowed down the faster cars. They just get going so fast around this place that you have to find at some point to slow them down in terms of safety. That's why they've added those chicanes.
Yeah, of course, this circuit still does host the likes of IMSA racing around this section, which is something you know very well, Joey, of course, from your time racing about. And you look around these circuits, these Northwest circuits, they have that tradition around them, which often you don't get to have that sense when you go around, especially tracks up in the northern part of the United States. They have that tradition held and weighted with it.
Yeah, in the northeastern part up here in Connecticut, and yes, it is a very historic racetrack. It's been around forever, and if you are in the New York City area, Boston, any of these big cities, Philadelphia, Jersey, anything up in the Northeast, trust me, you know Watkins Glen, you know Lime Rock Park, but Lime Rock Park is much closer than any of these other racetracks to those big cities. And look at this, Nieva's going to try to finally make a move on Laust Olsen, but Laust once again with the defense around outside of 1 and 2.
Yeah, and he's going to get it as well. That's just incredible. He forced the nose to the inside. Knew he wasn't going to get it immediately, but he was going to absolutely find some magic immediately afterwards when there's still going to be no turning through that section of track there for Laust Olsen. So Olsen back to 5th. Nieva now up to 4th, but look at what it's cost him trying to get past Laust Olsen. A full 8 seconds.
Yeah, you called it earlier, just the battle for the podium is all over. There's no way Nieva's going to be able to hunt him down in 10 laps here. It's really going to be how quickly can Togo Hisada now dispatch of Laust Olsen, because I have a feeling that Togo wants that 4th place, not Jorge Nieva.
Yeah, Togo Hisada has been really patient today, and not for a lack of trying. He wants those spots, and he takes a wider line through the big double right-hander into the left-hander here of turn 3. you're always trying to open up, and this is one of the few tracks that you turn around and you say, well, you're going to have to try and plan out a move, not just 1 lap in advance, maybe 2 laps in advance, Joey.
I think you're right. At least probably a series of corners in advance. And you're right, it's not going to happen on the first try. It's probably just kind of shifting them off of the racing line, getting a few over-unders done, and then getting that opportunity into turn 1 probably is your best passing opportunity. But you're right, it's not going to happen on the first lap of your battle.
No, it's not, and it's definitely not going to be the easiest as they go through. Traffic is again playing its factor at the front of the field as Zamayoa, who leads this one with 9 laps to go, has 7/10 of a second, but every single corner is mattering in terms of this one as we focus on Nieva, trying to run away from the likes of Laust Olsen, demonstrating the traffic. He gets right underneath as far as he can. Look how wide Laust Olsen had to go to try and get out of the way before pivoting up the hill. Hesada unable to follow with as much reverie.
And, you know, I want to focus on Togo Hesada the next lap over the uphill jump, because this dude is just squaring up the uphill, standing on the gas and just launching his car over. All of these cars are getting airborne, but Togo Hesada every single lap, it's like he's putting on a Monster Jam display out there.
There's a lot of styles that you have to go around a corner, Joey, and you look at what Hesada's trying to do. He's trying to minimize as much turn as possible up the top of that hill. So he's developed a driving style which pretty much says, I'm going to get air over that section, and I'm going to do all my turning early.
And that's the way to do it. It is a compression on the turn, and here you get this big load of grip, and if you're done with the turn, boom, you can just stand on the gas, and yeah, he just drives over that thing like a ski jump.
He does, and it's almost a case where he'll be looking at the Winter Olympics if he continues that far in terms of what he is trying to do. Big kicks of oversteer with the pure grunt of the engine. They're going to have to be alert to it. The lap traffic staying well out of the way, but in through the opening corner once again, through the big bend, 1 and 2, looking to open up as what you've got with 7 laps to go. Again, really, Togo Hesada is sitting, trying to find what he's got, but again, Laust Olsen's just car's in the right place. You can't do anything here if you've got Laust Olsen taking the right lines and not really being challenged in terms of that respect. You can see again, there's that snapshot of concentration he's got.
And we've talked all about Nieva and Hesada trying to get around Laust Olsen, but honestly, tip of the hat to Laust Olsen. He is doing a tremendous job in coming down here, 6 laps to go here. I have a feeling that Laust Olsen is now in full-on battle mode, going to hang on to this top 5 as long as he can. This is a fantastic drive from Laust.
It is a great drive from Laust, but we've got to talk about the great drive of Ove Trengarade in 3rd position, because Sebastian Tixier now finds himself 1.6 seconds back off of Oye Zamayoa. He's gone, and now Tixier is focusing on defending 2nd position from Hervé Trengarade, who is not a direct rival at the moment, I'd say, in the championship, but someone you don't want to give too many points to. Through the West Bend, under the Haggerty Bridge, which is the entrance to the circuit, and down the hill through the diving turn. And look how aggressive Hervé Trengarade is, but he can't get a drive off the exit.
Once again, using the compressions for that grip. I know that Trengarade likes to drive a loose race car, and here at Lime Rock Park, that's exactly what you need to keep it turning. Trying to get the nose tucked under Tixier, just trying to find whatever clean air he can, but around this left-hander, there's really nowhere to go. I think his best opportunity is the group of lapped cars they're about to catch.
Yeah, and through one of them then is Oye Zamayoa. It's Bjorn Ackermann, who is the first the F2 Championship leader, Matthew Keane and Alejandro Sanchez, that they've all got to try and navigate around. So it's a case of where does the traffic come into play, and how willing are they going to be to allow this all to go through. It will be 4 laps to go, so you've got 4 chances if you're Hervé Trengarade, and you're just needing 1.
They head off into turn number 1, hard on the brakes. These 2 lap cars are pretty much side by side right in front of him. Trengarade is licking his lips. He's trying. What can he do? That's Bjorn Ackermann.
Check up there. going through turn 1, turn 2. iRacing rules will state it is the responsibility of Tixier to make the pass effectively. He does not have to lift as Bjorn Ackermann, but of course, being nice, he will do so through the no-name straight and up the hill through this fast-flowing right-hander. Trengarade was not in a position to attack, and Tixier gets 2 tyres in the grass for about half the run up to the West Bend.
He is throwing everything that he can, and Trengrade is applying the pressure. Talk about a classy move, though, from Bjorn Ackermann. He was in a battle and pulled over to let him by.
Yeah, he had every right to continue on that battle so long as he found himself the opportunity to do so. Trengarade again staying close here. 3 laps to go. We're on lap 39 here of 41, and Tixier, the championship leader, is being put through the ringer by the legend that is Ove Trengarade.
Through the left-hander known as turn number 3, scoot around the tricky turn number 4, and actually Tixier gets a really good jump out of there, but I feel like Tixier, his problem area has been right here, the landing on the uphill.
Yeah, up over the rise that time. A lot flatter, more comfortable there, getting that all sorted. Both drivers twitch through the West Bend and down the diving turn. There'll be just 2 laps then to figure this one out, and there will be more traffic. Look how aggressive you've got to be. All of the road being used and a bit of that grass on the outside.
You have to charge down that downhill, and you have to let the compression just catch you. It's the natural flow of Lime Rock Park, and the time is running out. The hourglass, the sand is almost empty.
It is almost empty, which means now between these two, someone's going to have to throw one massive haymaker. Otherwise, it's Tixier who looks like he's going to win this one, Joey, on points.
On points, yes, but it's really been Oyer just out front in control. Yeah, and you saw Trengrade just go really wide. That's going to cost him a bunch of track position.
That might be ball game for the podium then. Trengarade drops back to 0.7 of a second, and you need to be at least 1/10 of a second to make something happen. There is Oye Zamayoa, who leads this race going on to the final lap here at this wonderful Lime Rock Park circuit. He's known how important it's been to get a good foothold. His best result this season has been 2nd place at Brands Hatch, and he wants to make a statement because we head to Motorland Aragon 1 week from today. It's all about focus, it's all about poise, and Zamayoa is proving that he is on top of the game. Tixier thinks he might be clear, but he's got heavy, copious amounts of traffic. Again, Trengarade struggles though through the uphill, and he won't do anything then to put himself in as Alejandro Sanchez stays out of the way. Zamayoa, down the diving turn, is going to win at Lime Rock Park, and he will kickstart his season and say, I am the challenger to Sebastian Tixier's crown.
Just a dominating performance. Tixier does hang on to the 2nd place. Trengrade, the final step on the podium. You see Toga Hasada pulling out, but Laust Olsen, in my opinion, driver of the day right there, coming home with a top 5.
Yeah, it's a great top 5 performance. You could still say as well, there are a number of drivers who have jumped up through the field and proven their worth here today. Just the 11 drivers finishing on the lead lap, or will do. Jason Clapper, I think, the last one to finish, will be one of those for contention for driver of the day. Up 19. Incredible run from him. He likes to start from the back of the field. There is Gary Ho finishing off, and he loses the battle of the Garys late. Then, as it's actually plus 20 for Jason Clapper. We're going to step aside for one moment, though, here with the Global Sim Racing channel. Post-race coming to you after this. A bit of racing there, which was all about patience. You had to pick and choose the moments and time where you needed to be. The one driver at the front of the field who proved that patience today was Oye Zamayoa, who was able to pick up the win and do so with a brilliant time of victory, ahead by 2.5 seconds. His time overall, 34 minutes and 26 seconds for the 41 laps. Hervé Trengarade would finish off in third position, just 2.9 back of the leader and 4/10 off of Tixier, who he hounded all race long. Jorge Nieva would get the pass done on Laust Olsen with a handful of laps to go to put himself ahead into fourth, ahead of Laust in fifth, with Togo Hasada finishing off in sixth position. John Olsen would finish seventh, with Marco Antonio Lopez in eighth, 26 seconds down the road, with Gary Quellin winning the Battle of the Garys, which was nearly won by a Jason, who managed to move up 20 spaces in the race and finish in 10th place.
Then in 11th, we have the other Gary Ho in the number 6 car. Then 12th place, Yanni Lehman. And a couple of big drives back here a little bit further down. Alejandro Sanchez up 11 positions to finish in 13th. Matthew Keane back here in 14th. Bjorn Ackerman, our F2 points championship leader, comes home with a top 15 finish. And then really this next group of cars, Jonathan Jordan up 10 to finish 16th. Michael Grissinger up 11 to finish 17th. Jan Steffen up 14 to finish in 18th. And then Kurt Clapper up 12 to finish 19th. Emerson Gaudian rounding out the top 20.
And all of these drivers here, believe it or not, with Robert Reynolds' last finish at 5 laps down, are retirees, and they include the likes of Stay Morris, Derek Matthews, Tommy Donahue, a retiree, so too Terry Tromashauser finding himself 15 laps down, Leo Sequeiro in trouble, a lot of dramas on the opening laps, so Matthew Nelson and co all in trouble there, including Eloy Verge and Costa, the likes of Matthew Maudsley, Arnold Koch and Rody Wallbank make up 34 drivers there, and a number, at least 20 or at least 12 found themselves without a finish. We have drivers, though, ready to come and have a conversation with us. Sebastian Tixier will be the first and foremost of those. Seb, you have the championship lead coming into today. You lead with the championship lead coming out of today, but your Matra-style car had to be in every single position, trying to attack, trying to defend. That was just a really difficult race, wasn't it?
Yeah, for me, the race was almost done at the qualification. Because it's impossible to pass here, except if there's a mistake from the guy in front, behind, or a back marker messing up. So yeah, I'm really happy with my result because I went there just to bank a non-zero result. That's it.
Well, it was definitely more than 0 points today in terms of this race. You take 55 of them away with you here, but you know, you look at those final 15 laps, the moment Oye starts to pull away, how much pressure was Hervé Trengarade putting on you? Because it looked like you were having a few troubles up at the top of the uphill, that you were getting a little bit unsettled on landing.
Yeah, I think there's a back marker who separated Oye and me, and from there I was just trying to keep my position. From over, he put a lot of pressure on me, especially turn one. He was so much faster than me in turn one. I think I overcooked my rear tires, and yeah, it was very difficult driving, watching the mirrors a bit, but yeah. I'm really happy I finished P2. I think knowing Ove, when he saw that we were a bit blocked by back marker, he didn't try to take advantage of that. He's very gentleman driver, so yes, thanks, Ove.
Well, you've had a fantastic start to the season. You've had yourself 2 race wins, a second position, and then, of course, over at Le Mans, it was a little bit further down from there. But your great start to the season, you now head effectively to the home territory of your 2 main rivals, Oye Zamayoa and Jorge Nieva in Motorland Aragon. What are you expecting out of the racing there?
I think I will let the Spaniard fight together and see what's the output of that, because yeah, on turf for them, I think they are going to be really motivated to win there. And there's a super long straight because it's a outer layout, if I remember correctly, and the last turn is super fast. So yeah, I think this kind of track I will just try to bank a result and see if I can get faster somewhere else.
Well, we hope that you manage to find that little bit of pace, or maybe just get that safety blanket in to continue your great start to the season. Floor is yours, though, Sebastian. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Thank GSRC for the broadcast and the Lotus 49 for the community and my team, Platinum Racing.
Yeah, there's no problems at all. Sebastian Tixier there, joining us, getting second position overall with a strong result. Joey Atterbury has wandered down the pit lane, and he's found himself with a very stoic Laust Olsen.
Laust, congratulations on the top 5 finish. How do you feel after today's race?
Oh, thanks. I'm very happy. I didn't expect to be able to keep Nieva and Togo behind me. I think they would normally be quite a lot faster than me, but this track is quite difficult to pass on. So that gave me a shot at keeping on position, and only losing one of them was, in my mind, a great success.
Now, I called you the driver of the day at the end of today's race. I felt that you were really punching above your weight class of where you usually are running, running inside the top 5. I think that this is a tremendous result for you. Does it help with any momentum carrying into the rest of the season at all?
Yeah, I would hope so, but I think this race is a little an outlier, because it's very difficult to pass here, and getting a good qualifier, you get a position to keep that position. So I would expect next week that it would be more difficult to keep ahead if I end up starting off my normal pace.
Well, looking at the rest of the season, is there any tracks that stand out to you that you maybe feel a little bit more confident at, like such here as Lime Rock Park, where the difficulty to pass is maybe there anything that stands out for you that you might be able to make another good charge at?
Oh, I don't remember the schedule, other than I think it's Oregon next week. So I must say I take them as they come, and I enjoy most of the tracks here on iRacing, and like the diverse schedule we normally have. So
Well, Laust, I really feel like I said it on the show. I really do feel like you were the driver of the day today. Congratulations on the top 5. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
yeah, thanks to you, Guy, for the great show you always do, and thanks to the community for being the great community it is, and also thanks for a great race to Togo and Nieva. That was very fun.
That was Laust Olsen, driver of the number 7, coming home 5th today, able to hold off Togo Hisada the whole time during Lime Rock Park.
Not only is he stoic, but he's able to talk without moving his lips. He's actually really quite talented. A massive thanks, though, here. Has to get it done as we bring proceedings to a close here from Lime Rock Park, from everyone who has helped get it done today, from the team, of course, from Joey, from Robert, and from Dougie. You can get a look at all of our fantastic pieces of equipment that helps get this show all nicely sorted and constructed, especially the music by June Lalonde. You can catch her stuff over on Bandcamp. You also have the opportunity to go view our social medias, our X, I suppose it is now. It's still Twitter, technically, our Facebook and our Instagram, along with our website, www.globalsimracingchannel.com, as well as gsrc.storenvy.com for all your merchandise needs. All of the shows are flying across your screen, but next week is the important one, because we are heading to Motorland Aragon for round 5 of this championship. Same time, same place. You're going to want to jump in and get yourself involved with that. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we will see you at Motorland Aragon.